"You're just a fling," my secret fiancé laughed at dinner. I paid the bill, ruined her upcoming high society wedding, and found out my own brother helped me buy the ring while sleeping with her. I sat in the upscale restaurant, listening to the woman I had secretly proposed to just 4 months ago, laugh in my face and tell her snobby friends she would never introduce a guy like me to her parents. So I quietly paid my portion of the bill, walked out into the Seattle rain, and systematically dismantled her entire life by exposing her to her real high society fiancé, only to discover a final, stomach-churning plot twist. My own brother had been sleeping with her the entire time. A bit of background to make this nightmare make sense. I'm Julian, 34M, and until a few weeks ago, I was engaged to Vanessa, 31F. We had been together for exactly 3.5 years. I'm an architect at a mid-sized firm, making a decent living, but I don't come from money. My parents were public school teachers. Vanessa, on the other hand, comes from extreme generational wealth. Her father, Arthur, is a senior partner at one of the most ruthless corporate law firms in the Pacific Northwest. And her mother, Eleanor, sits on the board of half the charities in the state. We met at a charity marathon in downtown Seattle. I was volunteering at a water station near the 15-mile mark, just trying to give back to the community, when she hobbled over to my table. She had twisted her ankle terribly in the mud and was practically in tears. I helped her to the medical tent, grabbed her a dry towel, and we just started talking. We clicked instantly. She was witty, sharp, and seemed entirely unpretentious, despite the expensive running gear she was wearing. We ended up getting coffee later that week at a small indie roaster, and from that moment on, we were inseparable. We spent almost every weekend together. We traveled to the Oregon coast, went hiking in the Cascades, and binge-watched terrible reality TV in my modest 2-bedroom apartment. I knew her family was rich and strict, and she always made excuses about why I couldn't meet them yet. "They have these insane, archaic expectations, Julian," she would tell me, stroking my hair. "They want me to marry a clone of my father. I just need more time to break them down and show them that you're the man I want." I loved her. So I was patient. 4 months ago, I decided I didn't want to wait anymore. I had spent a year secretly saving up $6,500 for a beautiful vintage sapphire engagement ring. I even brought my older brother, Marcus, 32M, with me to the jeweler to help pick it out. Marcus and I were always close. He was the golden boy of our family, a highly successful financial advisor who always had the best taste. When I showed Marcus the ring, he clapped me on the shoulder, grinning widely. "She's going to be absolutely shocked, man. Seriously, it's perfect. Do it." I proposed to Vanessa on a rainy Tuesday night in my living room, surrounded by candles. She cried. She kissed me. She said yes, but then she looked at the ring, bit her lip, and said the words that should have been my first massive red flag. "Julian, I love this. I love you. But we have to keep this our little secret for just a little while longer. If I show up with a ring from a man they've never met, my parents will cut me off and make our lives hell. Let me prep them. I promise, soon, we'll tell the world." She put the ring on a silver chain and wore it tucked under her blouse, right against her heart. I thought it was romantic. I was an idiot. The illusion shattered last Thursday. Vanessa told me she wanted me to finally meet her 3 best friends from college, Chloe, Harper, and Sienna. She said this was the first step in integrating me into her real life. We met at the Emerald Room, this ridiculously overpriced, dimly lit bistro downtown where a steak costs $150. I showed up in dark jeans, a crisp button-down, and a nice blazer, what I thought was perfectly acceptable for a Thursday dinner. I was wrong. Her friends arrived looking like they had just walked off a Vogue photo shoot. They were polished, dripping in designer labels, and immediately looked me up and down with barely concealed disdain. The conversation for the first hour was excruciating. They talked about trust funds, a recent trip to a private vineyard in Napa, and gossiped about people I didn't know. I sat there, nursing my scotch, trying to be polite and interjecting when I could. Then, Harper, a woman whose face had barely moved all night due to what I assume was extensive Botox, leaned forward, swirling her $40 glass of wine. "So, Vanessa?" she purred, looking right past me. "When are you going to stop playing around and make this official? When are you going to bring him home to meet Arthur and Eleanor?" Vanessa let out a laugh. It wasn't her normal, warm laugh. It was a sharp, mocking, condescending sound that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. "Oh God, Harper, can you imagine?" I froze. I looked at Vanessa. my heart suddenly pounding against my ribs. "What?" I asked, my voice tight. She didn't even look at me. She took a slow sip of her wine, locked eyes with her friends, and rolled her eyes. "I mean, come on, look at him. What do you think? That I'd ever actually introduce you to my parents? We're just having fun. You're sweet, Julian, but you're not exactly the type they'd ever approve of. No offense." The table went dead silent. Chloe suddenly looked incredibly uncomfortable, staring down at her truffle risotto. Sienna tried and failed to hide a nasty little smirk behind her napkin. Harper just stared at me, waiting for me to explode. I felt my face burn with a heat so intense I thought I might pass out. The woman wearing my engagement ring under her expensive silk blouse had just publicly humiliated me and reduced our entire 3.5-year relationship to a pathetic joke. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene. I simply reached into my jacket, pulled out $200 bills, and laid them neatly on the white tablecloth to cover my meal and a generous tip. I stood up, buttoned my blazer, and looked down at Vanessa, who was suddenly looking a little pale. "You won't need to," I said, my voice dead calm. "Julian, what is that supposed to mean?" she asked, her arrogant facade cracking slightly. "Exactly what it sounds like. Have a great life, Vanessa." I turned and walked out of the restaurant. I didn't look back. By the time I reached my car in the pouring rain, my phone was vibrating endlessly. 7 text messages in 3 minutes. "Julian, where are you going? Are you seriously throwing a tantrum over a joke? Come back inside right now. You're embarrassing me. Julian, answer me." I blocked her number, got in my car, and drove home in a state of total shock. I poured myself a massive glass of whiskey and sat in the dark, trying to process what had just happened. At 10:15 p.m., my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but some gut instinct told me to answer. "Hello?" I said. Is this Julian?" A shaky, quiet female voice asked. "God, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is Chloe. From dinner." My stomach instantly tied itself into a knot. "What do you want, Chloe? Did Vanessa put you up to this?" "No, no, God, no," she whispered urgently. "Look, I know this is weird, and I know you hate all of us right now, but I need to tell you something." After you walked out, Harper and Sienna started laughing. But I tore into Vanessa. "What she said to you was completely sociopathic. But then Harper got drunk and started making jokes about the wedding, and, look, Julian, you need to know. You have no idea what's really going on, do you?" "What wedding?" I asked. The room suddenly spinning. Chloe let out a long, ragged breath. "Vanessa is engaged, Julian. Officially engaged. To a guy named Preston. He's 35. He's a senior corporate lawyer at her dad's firm. Their families have been country club friends for decades. They've been officially engaged for 8 months. The wedding is in exactly 4 months. It's going to be a massive, 500-guest event at the Ritz." I gripped the edge of my kitchen counter, feeling physically nauseous. That's impossible. We've been together for over 3 years. She's wearing my ring on a necklace right now." Chloe gasped softly on the other end of the line. "Wait, you gave her a ring? Oh my God. Julian, she told us you were just some naive guy she kept around for fun. A fling to blow off steam because Preston travels constantly for work. She showed us her ring from Preston at brunch 3 months ago. It's a massive Cartier emerald cut. I thought you knew you were just a side piece. But when you looked so completely destroyed tonight, I realized you had no idea. She is living a complete double life. Why are you telling me this?" I choked out, my vision blurring. "Because I might be a snob, but I'm not a monster," Chloe said fiercely. "What she is doing to you, and to Preston, is sick. Harper thinks it's a hilarious rebellion before she settles down into high society. Sienna thinks it's practical to have a backup. I think it's pure evil. You seem like a genuinely good guy. You deserve to know the truth. Does Preston know about me?" I asked. "No. He is completely clueless. He's in London right now on a huge merger case. He thinks she's the perfect, loyal future wife." "Send me proof," I demanded, my voice hardening. "Send me everything you have. Right now. I already sent it to your number before I called. Check your messages." "I'm so sorry, Julian. For what it's worth, I'm cutting her off after tonight. Good luck." She hung up. I pulled the phone away from my ear and opened my messages. There were 6 screenshots. The first was a photo of Vanessa and a tall, handsome blonde guy in a tuxedo, kissing at a lavish gala. The second was a close-up of a diamond ring that easily cost $35,000. The third was a screenshot of a protected Zola wedding website, Vanessa and Preston. August 14th. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep the next night either. Update 1. The investigation and the nuke. I spent the next 48 hours doing the most unhinged, obsessive deep dive of my entire life. I turned my dining room table into a war room. I found Preston's law firm bio. I found his LinkedIn. I found his public Instagram, which was absolutely littered with photos of him and Vanessa. Photos of them in Paris. Photos of them skiing in Aspen. Photos of them at her parents' estate. I sat there with a legal pad, cross-referencing the dates on Preston's photos with my own text history with Vanessa. December 12th. Vanessa texted me saying she had a terrible flu and was going to sleep at 8 p.m. Preston's Instagram. December 12th, 10 p.m. A photo of Vanessa in a stunning red dress at a charity ball, holding a flute of champagne. March 4th. Vanessa told me she had to go on a mandatory corporate retreat to Chicago for the weekend. Preston's Instagram. March 5th. A photo of them kissing in front of the Eiffel Tower. My entire relationship, my entire future, my entire life for the past 3.5 years was a meticulously crafted, sociopathic lie. I felt a rage so pure and cold, it terrified me. I wasn't just going to break up with her. I was going to burn her kingdom to the ground. By Saturday afternoon, I had compiled a 40-page PDF document. It contained screenshots of our most intimate text conversations. It contained photos of us kissing in my apartment. Time-stamped clearly. It contained Uber receipts of her coming to my place at 2 a.m. It contained a photo of the vintage sapphire ring I bought her, along with the receipt, and a photo of her wearing it on the silver chain. I titled the document, "The Truth About Your Fiancé." I created a secure burner email account. I found Preston's direct work email and his personal email through a data broker site. I drafted a very calm, completely factual message. Preston, my name is Julian. We have never met, but we have been sharing a fiancé. I have been in a committed relationship with Vanessa for 3.5 years. I proposed to her 4 months ago, and she accepted, hiding my ring on a necklace. I only discovered your existence on Thursday. I have attached comprehensive proof. I am not asking for anything, and I do not wish to speak to her ever again. I just believed you deserved to know who you are about to marry. I hit send at exactly 2 p.m. on Saturday. Then, I unblocked Vanessa's number, poured myself a coffee, and waited. The first explosion happened at 6:15 p.m. My phone lit up with a call from Vanessa. I let it ring. Then came another. And another. Over the next 2 hours, she called me 47 times. The text messages came in like a tidal wave, shifting wildly from confusion to absolute panic to vicious rage to desperate begging. Julian, why is Preston's brother calling me? What did you do? Julian, answer the phone right now. Preston just canceled the caterer. What did you tell him? You sick, vindictive piece of trash? You ruined my life. My father is going to sue you into the ground. Please. Please, Julian. Please call me. We can fix this. I love you. Preston was just for my parents. Please don't do this to me. I'm throwing up. Please answer. I didn't respond to a single one. I took screenshots of her admitting that Preston was just for her parents and saved them. On Sunday morning, my phone rang. It was a Seattle area code, but a number I didn't recognize. I answered. Julian? The voice was deep, incredibly calm, and possessed that chilling, controlled cadence of a seasoned corporate litigator. Is this Preston? I asked. It is, he said. I read your email. I reviewed the 40-page document 4 times. I'm sorry, I said quietly. I really am. Don't apologize to me, Preston said, his voice cracking just a fraction of an inch before hardening again. I need to meet with you in person. Tomorrow morning. Her family is currently in a state of absolute hysteria. Her father is threatening to have you arrested for cyberstalking and defamation. Vanessa is telling everyone that you are an obsessed ex who photoshopped everything because she rejected you. I am 99% sure she is lying, but I need to look you in the eye and hear your side before I detonate my entire career and personal life. Name the place, I said. Update 2. The meeting and the ultimate betrayal. We met at 9 a.m. on Monday at a highly discreet, private coffee club near the financial district. Preston was already there when I arrived. He looked like he had aged 10 years in 2 days. He was wearing a sharp, custom-tailored suit, but his eyes were bloodshot, and his hands were trembling slightly as he held his espresso. I sat down and immediately opened my laptop. I didn't waste time with pleasantries. I logged directly into my iCloud, my bank accounts, and my live text history. I handed the laptop across the table. No Photoshop, I said. Click through it yourself. Live data. For 45 minutes, Preston sat in silence, scrolling through my live messages. He read text where Vanessa told me she loved me while she was supposedly wedding dress shopping with his mother. He saw the live bank charges for the dinners, the trips, the engagement ring. Finally, he closed the laptop gently, took off his expensive glasses, and rubbed his face violently. 3.5 years, he whispered. She was sleeping in my bed, planning a $200,000 wedding, and then driving to your apartment. I was going to marry her, Preston, I said, my voice thick with emotion. I bought a ring. I thought we were building a life. He let out a bitter, hollow laugh. You saved me, Julian. You saved me from signing a legally binding contract with a sociopath. Her father called me at 6 a.m. today. He threatened to ruin my career if I called off the wedding. He said he would blackball me from every major firm in Seattle. What are you going to do? I asked, suddenly worried for the guy. Preston smiled, but it was a cold, terrifying smile. I'm a senior partner in waiting. I have the entire firm's most lucrative client portfolio backed up on a secure drive. I already accepted an offer from our biggest rival firm in Chicago yesterday afternoon. I am resigning today at noon. I am taking the clients. And I sent a mass email to all 500 wedding guests at 8 a.m. this morning, attaching a brief summary of why the wedding is canceled. Let Arthur try to blackball me. I'll burn his firm to ashes. I sat back, genuinely impressed. Good for you, man. Preston looked at me, his expression suddenly darkening, becoming almost pitying. He reached into his leather briefcase and pulled out a sleek silver flash drive. He set it on the table between us. Julian, Preston said softly. When I confronted Vanessa on Saturday night, she denied everything. So, I did what a lawyer does. I demanded her unlocked phone. I told her if she didn't hand it over immediately, I would walk out that second. She panicked and gave it to me. I went into the bathroom, plugged it into my laptop, and ran a rapid data extraction software we use for corporate discovery. It pulled everything. Deleted texts, hidden folders, Snapchat caches, everything. My stomach dropped. What did you find? Preston pushed the flash drive toward me. I found out that you and I weren't the only ones. She had a hidden folder in her Photos app disguised as a calculator. I thought you should have this. Because you need to know who you're really dealing with in your own life. I frowned, taking the flash drive. What do you mean? In my own life? Preston looked at me with profound sadness. Open the folder labeled M. I'm so sorry, Julian. Preston paid for the coffee, shook my hand firmly, and walked out to go destroy his firm. I rushed home, my hands shaking so badly I could barely unlock my front door. I plugged the flash drive into my computer. I found the folder labeled M. I double-clicked it. The first photo loaded. It was a selfie of Vanessa in a hotel bed. The man sleeping bare-chested next to her was my older brother, Marcus. I stopped breathing. The room literally spun. I gripped the edge of my desk, feeling bile rise in my throat. I clicked to the next photo. It was Marcus, smiling, holding a glass of champagne, sitting on Vanessa's couch. I opened the text export file. There were thousands of messages dating back 14 months. 14 months ago was my 33rd birthday party. That was the night I introduced Marcus to Vanessa. I started reading the texts, and with every word, a piece of my soul died. Marcus, October 12th. Leaving the office now. Is little bro at work? Vanessa. Yes, he's stuck at the firm until 8. Come over. I need a real man tonight. Marcus, November 3rd. You look so hot at Thanksgiving dinner. It took everything in me not to drag you into the guest bathroom while Julian was carving the turkey. Vanessa. Next time, do it. But the messages that completely shattered me were from 4 months ago, the week I bought the engagement ring. Vanessa. Julian just told me he's taking you ring shopping. What the hell, Marcus? You're supposed to be convincing him to break up with me. Marcus. Relax, babe. I told him to buy this hideous, cheap, vintage sapphire thing. It's pathetic. When he proposes, just tell him you need a break. Tell him he's too boring. Then you're all mine. Vanessa. I can't just dump him out of nowhere. It'll look suspicious. I'll accept it, but I'll tell him to keep it a secret. I'll string him along until Preston goes on his Tokyo trip. Then we can figure this out. Marcus. God, you're evil. I love it. Wear the lingerie I bought you tonight. Marcus didn't know about Preston. Marcus thought Vanessa was only cheating on me with him. He helped me pick out an engagement ring for the woman he was sleeping with, fully believing she was going to reject me so he could have her all to himself. And Vanessa, the ultimate puppet master, played my brother's arrogance perfectly, hiding Preston from both of us. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt a cold, dead numbness spread through my veins. Update 3, the confrontation and the family fallout. I printed out the worst of the texts and the clearest photo of them in bed. I drove to Marcus's luxury condo in Bellevue. I used the spare key he had given me years ago. He was sitting on his leather sofa, watching a basketball game, drinking a beer. "Hey man," he said, looking surprised but happy to see me. "Didn't know you were coming by. You look like hell. What's up?" I walked over to the coffee table and dropped the stack of papers right on top of his phone. Marcus looked down. He saw the top photo. The color instantly drained from his face. He looked like he had been struck by lightning. He opened his mouth, closed it, and then scrambled backward on the couch. Julian. Julian? Wait. Let me explain, he stammered. His confident, golden boy persona instantly evaporating. 14 months, I said. My voice devoid of any emotion. You sat at my Thanksgiving table. You helped me buy a ring. You called me little bro. And you were fing her the entire time. She came on to me, Marcus shouted, standing up, his hands raised defensively. Julian, listen to me, she's crazy. She told me you guys were basically broken up. She said you were boring. She said she was miserable. I was going to tell you, I swear to God, I was just trying to protect you. Protect me? I laughed. A harsh, jagged sound. By telling me to buy her a ring? By telling her to wear the lingerie you bought her while I was at work? Marcus flinched. He looked down at the texts. He knew he was caught in a trap he couldn't talk his way out of. Then, his face twisted into something ugly and defensive. You know what? Yeah, we were sleeping together. Because she wanted a real man. She was settling for you, Julian. She always was. She loved me. Did she? I asked softly. I pulled out one final piece of paper from my pocket and dropped it on his chest. It fluttered to the floor. It was a photo of Vanessa and Preston, along with the Zola wedding registry screenshot. What is this? Marcus asked, frowning as he picked it up. That's Preston, I said. Her actual fiancé. The guy she's been engaged to for 8 months. The guy whose $35,000 ring she wears when she's not wearing my $6,500 ring or sleeping in your bed. You weren't special, Marcus. You were just another side piece she used for entertainment. You betrayed your own brother for a woman who was playing you for a fool. I watched the realization hit Marcus. I watched his massive ego shatter into a million pieces as he realized he wasn't the alpha male conqueror he thought he was. He was just another pawn in Vanessa's sick game. He literally collapsed onto the couch, putting his head in his hands. I'm telling Mom and Dad, I said, turning toward the door. And then, I am never speaking to you again for as long as I live. You are dead to me. Julian, please, he sobbed, actually crying now. Please don't tell Mom. Please. I walked out and slammed the door. I drove straight to my parents' house. I sat them down at the kitchen table. I laid out everything. The engagement, the dinner, Preston, and finally Marcus. My mother started hyperventilating and had to lie down. My father, a quiet, stoic man who had always been immensely proud of Marcus, turned a shade of purple I had never seen before. My father called Marcus right there from the kitchen table. He put it on speaker. When Marcus answered, crying and trying to apologize, my father spoke in a voice that shook the walls. You are no son of mine. You disgust me. Do not come to this house. Do not call your mother. You are entirely alone. He hung up the phone. Update 4. The aftermath and moving on. It has been 6 months since that Thursday dinner at the Emerald Room. The fallout was apocalyptic. Preston did exactly what he promised. He left Arthur's firm, took their top 3 tech clients with him, and moved to Chicago. Arthur's firm took a massive financial hit and lost a ton of prestige in the Seattle legal community. Vanessa's life imploded spectacularly. Preston's mass email to the wedding guests became legendary in their high society circle. Everyone knew exactly what she had done. Her parents were so humiliated they essentially banished her. She lost her job in PR because her boss was a friend of Preston's mother. 2 months ago, I heard through Chloe, who actually kept her word and cut Vanessa off entirely, that Vanessa had fled to Denver to live with an aunt and was working a miserable entry-level job in real estate. Marcus is a ghost. My parents have refused to speak to him. His reputation in the family is permanently destroyed. He tried to send me a long, rambling apology letter a few weeks ago, blaming his actions on sex addiction and therapy jargon. I burned it in my sink without finishing it. As for me, the first 2 months were absolute hell. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. The double betrayal from the woman I loved and the brother I trusted completely broke my brain for a while. I started seeing a therapist twice a week. I had to unpack a lot of trauma regarding trust and how I had ignored tiny red flags because I wanted to believe in the fairy tale. My therapist helped me realize something profound. I didn't miss the signs because I was stupid. I missed them because I was dealing with 2 people who were highly practiced, compartmentalizing sociopaths. Vanessa and Marcus both lacked a fundamental empathy chip. They didn't view me as a person. They viewed me as an accessory to their own gratification. That realization didn't take the pain away, but it took away the shame. It wasn't my fault. I got a promotion at my architecture firm. I started hiking again. I started rock climbing. I reconnected with friends I had neglected while I was busy catering to Vanessa's secret schedule. Last week, I met up with Preston. He flew into Seattle for a business meeting, and we grabbed a beer at a dive bar. It was surreal. We sat there, 2 guys who had shared a life with the same phantom woman. He looked great. He's dating someone new, a doctor in Chicago, and says he's taking it incredibly slow. We laughed about the absurdity of it all. We aren't best friends, but there is a deep, unspoken respect between us. We survived a hurricane together. Final update. I sold the vintage sapphire ring back to the jeweler. I took the $5,000 I got for it and booked a 2-week solo trip to Japan for next spring. I haven't started dating yet. I'm not ready, and I'm not going to rush it. I'm enjoying the peace of my apartment. I'm enjoying the silence of not having to guess where my partner is at 2 a.m. Yesterday, I got an email from a blocked address. It slipped into my spam folder, but I saw it. It was from Vanessa. Julian. I know you will probably never read this, and I know you hate me. I deserve it. I ruined my own life. I lost Preston. I lost my family's respect. And I lost you. I just wanted to say that the only time I ever felt real was when I was sitting on your cheap couch eating takeout. The rest of my life was a performance. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry about Marcus. I am broken, and I broke you to feel better. I hope you find someone who is whole. I read the email. I felt a tiny, fleeting ping of pity for a woman who had everything and destroyed it all because she was empty inside. Then, I clicked delete. I emptied the trash folder. I closed my laptop, grabbed my coat, and walked out into the Seattle rain. For the first time in 6 months, I felt completely, wonderfully free. Top comments. User it. The fact that your brother helped you pick out the engagement ring for the woman he was actively sleeping with is the most diabolical, supervillain level of betrayal I have ever read on this app. Good on your dad for immediately cutting him off. That takes guts, but it was the only correct response. You handled this like an absolute king. Enjoy Japan. User 2. Preston is the ultimate MVP here. The man found out his fiancée was cheating on him, extracted her phone data, found out she was cheating on her side piece with the side piece's brother, handed you the evidence, blew up his own wedding, stole her dad's clients, and moved to Chicago. Absolute legend behavior. You two should start a support group. Use a tree. I am broken, and I broke you to feel better. Oh, cry me a river, Vanessa. She isn't sorry she hurt you. She's sorry she got caught and has to work a normal job in Denver instead of living off daddy's money and Preston's salary while sleeping with your brother. Deleting that email without responding was the ultimate power move. Proud of you, OP.